No. What's good, party people? This is According to Woods, and I have the honor and privilege of talking to a impresario of the web. She is a former WWE employee. She is a fellow podcaster and co-host and host of the Squared Circle Wrestling Podcast. She's the one, the only Marie Shadows. Marie, what's up?
Hey man, how's it going? Thank you for having me.
Dude, thank you for doing this. This shit is like, oh my God. OMG.
Of course, man. Anytime.
Oh, man. Well, first off, like, what was it? Like, you were just there, right? Like, beginning of pandemic, you were there, right?
Well, I was out there in 2018, actually.
Okay.
Like, originally, yeah. That was when, like, the WWE Network was really strong. It was always my dream to go to WWE when I was like 7, because I was like the be all end all of everything. I'm currently 30 now. I don't mind telling my age, but I made it finally. It wasn't the department I wanted to work in, because I always wanted to be a writer for the WWE, because I got my degree in creative writing and a publishing certificate. So all I wanted to do was just make stories, write stories. But I got into the WWE Network department. So I got my foot in, but it wasn't what I wanted, but I still made it.
That's great. So you would have wanted to be a writer, right?
Yes.
That's fun because I don't know how you would have fared. I mean, the first time that I heard like a real like wrestling podcast, obviously Colt Cabana, right?
Yeah.
But he has a positive spin. But Court Bauer and MSL and Conan of the MLW podcast, right before he resurrected the old MLW, promotion.
Yeah.
That was like 3 years before Jim Ross or Pritchard, 3 to 5 years, right? So at that moment, that was like the closest you could get to Vince, right? And especially if like Court had, like Alex Greenfield or one of his other compatriots, Chris DeJoseph and everything like that. So I just remember, and I was just like, any dreams that I had of working in the WWE in any capacity, I said, fuck that. So kudos to you for doing that. And you must have not been listening to that podcast.
No, I wasn't. I had the goal of I'm gonna do what I want. I get what I want, and no matter where it takes me, whatever path, I'm gonna do it. And that's how like I've always been.
That's absolutely brilliant. And again, for just 30, I've got like 6 years on you. I'm 36, right? And I just like, Kevin Smith was asked, right, if he wrote like Superman, what that shit would have looked like. And he's like, I don't think that's my genre. Like, I make movies with poop monsters and shit, And he was like, Superman hides behind rock. And that would be my first draft. And that's very much what I feel like my place is. Like, I interview badasses and shit like that. I am not a badass. Like, I don't purvey that. I don't want to be that. I also don't want to be like, okay, so I'm not a fan of Roman Reigns. Now, I'm not saying Joe Anawahi, right?
Yeah.
Not a fan of the Usos presentation, right?
Yeah.
Especially, the bloodline storyline where, they're all together,
Yeah.
but Roman is the tribal chief, but also a former SWAT guy that probably feuded with his cousins during his SWAT deals, sells punches with a bulletproof vest, right? And then with that bulletproof vest, he does a move called the drive-by, okay? And then his cousins are in a penitentiary. Okay?
I mean, they're crazy, man. What do you want? So you're saying it doesn't make sense to you? you got to go into like the fantasy aspect of it, you know. You got to check reality at the door sometimes to get lost in these crazy storylines that we create. Yeah, sure, when you break it down like that, it sounds really crazy. It's like, why are we watching this, you know? But it's the same way when you break down your favorite TV show and then you realize like how dumb this one part is and you're like, oh, well, it makes sense later. But, you know, I totally get where you're coming from when you break it down like that. It's like, why? But that's what they're giving us, and that's what's really strong right now. The bloodline, as much as I'm not going to acknowledge Roman, I won't ever acknowledge him as my tribal chief. But that storyline is very powerful at the moment. It's very captivating. And they're really doing a good job of it. My only problem is that, yeah, Heyman is with him. But what happens when you remove Heyman and the Usos? Can he still rely on himself to pull himself forward if he doesn't have the rest of them behind him? Because everything works with Roman as a group. Roman is not strong on his own. So that's why he needs like the help of the Usos and like Paul Heyman to make the bloodline work. But imagine if like one day he wakes up and he's like, I'm destroying everything. Can he survive on his 2 feet by himself to still pull the bloodline and still be the top dog?
No, no, because it took him fucking better part of 10 years to even get here. And
I know.
I agree. This is the best work he's ever done, right? But never forget Suffer and Succotash. Never forget pew pew, pew pew. Yes. So yeah, you know, I love how you use the TV analogy because over the last month, you watched a shit ton during my COVID quarantine and near-death experiences like 12 times, like 100%. I've watched it and like full on, like I couldn't decipher what was WWE programming. Just a 3-minute YouTube deal. That's all I can do. My head. That's all I can fucking fathom is 3-minute YouTube cuts of whatever the fuck is going on, right?
Yeah.
And I couldn't tell if I was watching WWE programming or fucking hallucinating.
Man. I mean, lots of fans feel that way too, where sometimes it's like, what's really happening? You know, we have NXT 2.0, which is a complete like 360 on everything. So, you know, that kind of mindset would be like, what am I watching? What happened? You know? So I totally get it.
Yeah. Oh, and I'm not downing the performers. The performers are only given what they're, you know, given. But like even the NXT like 2.0, they're like, oh, Bruce Pritchard and Vince McMahon aren't there. Shawn Michaels ran the show. I was like, oh, I wonder what fucking Shane Helms thinks about this. Let's go ask Rob Van Dam what Shawn Michaels running a show. Let's see. Oh, man. Adam Cole, he's still there, right?
Wrong program.
Yeah, I know. Wrong program. That's the program that I'm watching because it reminds me of the program that I used to watch. What this program used to be. You don't get the fans. They don't get fucking muted. Their fucking signs could be brought. Nobody in security is fucking taking them away. And you know, what is it? Mixing, sweetening the sound, right?
Yeah.
When you
real.
When you look at that other show, that's what's going on. And the wrestlers that I fucking like versus the wrestlers that I've been told not to care about, and now I'm supposed to care because everyone is gone.
Right.
Well, I don't care about them anymore.
I totally agree with that. I think that companies like really shouldn't pick and choose who we, the fans, should cheer and boo. Like it should be natural, like how it usually is. I was there live, AEW Dynamite at Newark, New Jersey. So it was like a really cool event, and like the chants you heard at home were the chants that they were chanting there live. So, you know, all of those like you know, like shut the fuck up type of chants, that was there. The boos were really loud. The fighting in the crowd was like real. That was like so cool to watch. I was like, oh my God, they're fighting. This is interesting. But the referees came out like after everything. And I'm like, you guys are too late. Like you guys missed your cue. Where were you guys? But the chants are like real when you go to an AEW show. It's like attending like Ring of Honor back in the day when they used to come here to like the Hammerstein Ballroom and in New York City. When you go to a regular indie show, like it feels like that. So I enjoyed it.
No, 100%. And kudos to you as a native New Yorker venturing over to the Garden State to
Yeah.
watch wrestling. That could be, and especially Newark, New Jersey, which you know, two of the many pop culture luminaries that was basically born in Newark, New Jersey. Do you know
Yeah.
two of them?
I mean, are we talking about wrestlers or just pop culture people in
Pop
general?
culture.
Oh my god. I don't know why Andy Warhol like got in my head, but he's not. No, that's way too far back.
No,
I am.
you can go far back.
Oh, but Andy Warhol is not one of them.
I
Andy's
don't.
for New
I might
York.
have to look in the Wikipedia. So,
Oh,
okay, one is a singer, an actress that is no longer with us, who was famous for repurposing an old Dolly Parton song and making that shit a hit.
oh my god. Um, I
Whitney,
should. Yeah.
Whitney
Whitney's New
Houston.
Jersey.
She was born in Newark, New Jersey.
Oh, I didn't know that. My mom loves listening to Whitney. But I never knew that she was from there.
I believe she's buried there as well.
Oh, I yeah, I didn't know that one.
Yeah, I mean, they had the funeral right there at whatever church she used to go to as a child, right there in Newark. All right, and the second one, arguably, I mean, we were both podcasters, but arguably one of the most, I guess, notable podcasters in this day and age.
That comes from Jersey.
He was born there.
He was born there.
And I said he.
Yeah. He's a notable podcaster. Let's see. Why is Jarrett popping up in my head? It's not Jarrett. It's not Jarrett. It's not Bischoff.
No. Not
Bischoff, Russo are New York guys.
Yeah, but
famous people, man. Like I should know this, but I don't really care where they come from.
UFC commentator, comedian.
What?
UFC commentator and comedian, as well as
Joe Rogan.
Joe Rogan was born in Newark, New Jersey.
Okay, yeah, no wonder why. No wonder why I couldn't remember his ass.
Yeah, Rogan, and I think those are the two. Like when you do Asbury Park, you do Bam Bam Bigelow, DDP, and Bruce Springsteen, right? So Newark has, and Warhol could have been. I don't know. I haven't read up that much on him. But Rogan, fuck yes, dude. I'm perpetually into Rogan. So him and again the fucking Court Bauer podcast. That's it. I don't agree with everything. Like I like Cornette. I don't fucking agree with everything he says. He says some misogynistic, fucked up shit. Rogan only he shits on wrestling, whatever, but then talks about how he was a fan of Bruno Sammartino when he was growing up in fucking Boston, and then has fucking DDP, Jake Roberts, and Taker, and fucking cries when DDP is showing him the DDP yoga videos that we've all seen for the last 10, 15 years, right?
Yeah.
So, just saying.
I don't follow Joe Rogan, so I don't really.
That's okay. Yeah. I mean, I actually had tickets for him at the Forum here in LA on September 11th. And I put it out in the social media. I was like, hey, anybody want to take this ticket off my hand? Like, you fucking like Joe Rogan? Oh
my God. You just asked a simple question. Do you want to take the tickets? Yes or no? Don't make it into a big deal.
I wasn't even charging, really.
You were just take it off my hands.
Take it off my hands. I'm sick with COVID. Yeah.
People, man.
People. Oh, people. Well, speaking of you as a young person, right? 7 is when you decided you wanted to work for the WWE.
Yeah.
What was it about that time that made you have that goal?
So originally my dad got me into professional wrestling. He got me into NWA, IWA, like Mid South, like all the old school stuff. Like he's very old school. But unfortunately, he passed away this year. So
My
at least
condolences.
I appreciate that. But at least you know that I made it to WWE before any of that happened. So like when I was 7, I think I was watching one of the pay-per-views and seeing Undertaker for like the first time and his whole like get up and coming out and also with like Kane there. So the creative aspect of professional wrestling caught my attention. I kind of knew that I wasn't good at math. So, I wasn't good at I wasn't really good at math, but I was really good at writing and reading and spelling. So that's why I continued to pursue like to be a writer because I needed like something to fall back on if me wanting to actually be a professional wrestler in the ring didn't work out. And obviously it didn't work out. From time to time, I'll train to like relearn my bumps like I was doing last Tuesday, but I have no desire to be in that ring to like win the championship title. I already accepted that. But what I do want to work towards, other than like being a writer in wrestling, is to do commentary as well and to do interviews and do everything behind the scenes because I still love this business no matter if I didn't, become the wrestler and still have like everything else that I have. But that's essentially like how it happened. My love for going into wrestling and deciding at 7, this is what I wanted to do.
I think that's fucking brilliant. And as you say that, I am literally in a t-shirt that I purchased on Friday night. It's Ron Funches.
Yeah.
Right? And he had a match against Tony Deppen at GCW, highest in the room. And he had Paul Scheer. Yeah, I think it's Paul Scheer from Best Week Ever and a bunch of shit accompanying him to the ring. I'm not going to spoil it. I hate fucking spoilers. Unless it's WWE, and I'm not watching it any fucking way. Unless like the special events, right? I'm like, oh, I get SummerSlam for free. Like my fucking, 8-year-old self would be freaking the fuck out. Like you're not watching SummerSlam and it's free. Fuck you.
Yeah.
Right? But I'm not gonna spoil it. You got to check that out on Fight TV, FITE. I think .tv or wherever the fuck. But get the app. I'll post a fucking link or whatever in my bio or whatever the fuck. But it is something crazy, and that's also like pro wrestling to me, right? It's beautiful where you can have like celebrities against fucking pro wrestlers, right? And that happened right after a fucking death match, which I couldn't watch. Honestly,
Yeah.
I like that shit when it was Hayabusa and Onita in FMW, Mike Awesome, right? Like Terry Funk, Mick Foley. They all could work, and then they had this added layer of, of this. I guess their repertoire, right? But these two. One dude was like shorter than me, maybe portlier than I, and then a guy with a tattooed face, which I'm all like, oh, there's like that person has no friends, right? Because like I come from an island where people get tribal tattoos and shit like that, but whales do, right? And if you're not a chief of anything and you got your fucking tattooed face, or you're not a gangster and you didn't kill anybody and you don't have teardrops, why the fuck, right? Because I've never been secure in anything in my life, any decision that I've made in my life to say, like, I might have to get a fucking job at a bank in Santa Monica. And this is not going to work, right?
Yeah.
So, yeah, it was a guy with a Baphomet head, which, whatever, right? And he had a fucking tattooed face. And I was just like, oh, this is going to be absolute not my style. If you like it, amazing. Kudos to you. You were mentioning IWA Mid-South. Well, I mean, that's that shit, not shit, but that's that style, right? So, but after that, and they cleared all the fucking light tubes, we had Ron Funches and flanked by Paul Scheer and then Tony Deppen, right? And then the main event, you got Minoru Suzuki versus Jonathan Gresham. Like that's and the crowd was like live for all of it. So that's what I love about pro wrestling.
Definitely. I totally agree with that. It's always the crowd, the energy from the crowd, I should say. I was gonna say it backwards, but it's the energy from the crowd, and then how you book the show. I could tell you right now that I'm not a fan of death matches as well. Like I just don't get it. It's not my style, like you were saying, but I don't mind watching it. I think that when AEW did the death match between Jericho and Nick Gage, that was good. I was like, oh, I'm liking this. But I know if I go to like a GCW event, I might experience it a different way because it's a little bit more freedom to do whatever they want to do. But other than that, yeah, like the crowd has to be in it because if not, you're just gonna have a dead crowd and it's gonna be like, guys, let's go, come on, let's clap,
Yeah, I mean, after that, like, I was a fan of like Bloodsport. I'm still a fan of like Josh Barnett's Bloodsport. That is my style of fucking wrestling. The New Japan shit. Because I dabble both in MMA and pro wrestling, right? So, like, if I was trying to convince one of my fucking, MMA head or fighter friends, hey, you got to watch that shit. I'm telling them about Bloodsport and Bloodsport before Josh Barnett got it, and who's more legit than fucking Josh Barnett? But before he got it, it was Matt Riddle, right?
Yeah.
Who's in the UFC now with the WWE, right? And again, when you look at all these people, right? When you look at the filthy Tom Lawlers, you look at the Shayna Baszlers, you look at so many other MMA fighters, right?
Yeah.
Riddle, Barnett, that dabble in pro wrestling. Oftentimes, if they do it right and they're sincere about it, they make better money in pro wrestling than fighting, because in fighting there's not much money, even in the UFC or Bellator.
Yeah, definitely. And then also with wrestling, it's a little bit more safer than MMA, because sometimes in MMA, like that might be your last fight. Like you have to train as if like you need to survive. At least in wrestling, you'll have guys that will take care of you. Hopefully, they take care of you. And then the next step would be like you go home and heal. You don't have to worry about like, oh, how am I going to deal with this? It goes by situations and circumstance. But I think the people that come in from MMA, if they are like truly happy to be in wrestling and really like understand it for what it is, then they're gonna do a lot of great things. I do think that like WWE has dropped the ball with Shayna Baszler here and there with like a momentum and then stop and then a momentum and a stop. But other than that, like I really do appreciate the fact that she's in wrestling. Oh, and if you hear my cat in the background, yeah, someone came home. But yeah, that's about it.
So I actually I kind of saw the writing on the wall. I was like, yeah, for fucking Mercedes Martinez. She finally gets to the WWE. And I was like, oh, this is only going to go so far because Shayna's there.
Yeah.
Similar style, similar rep, right? Different worlds.
Yeah.
Mercedes has been a wrestler through and through for the last, 20 some odd years or something like that?
Yeah.
And Shayna has the four horsewoman cred, and she did her Shine and Shimmer and what is the Stardom shows, both here and Japan, but I was just like, oh no, that's it. So when I saw her name on the fucking future endeavors list, I was just like,
I don't get it, man. I don't get it. They could have formed a tag team.
Imagine if everyone does.
Like they could have formed a tag team. Why you had to let her go? Like there could have been something for her. Like I don't understand what goes through like creative's mind and also Vince's mind and whoever else is pulling the strings. If you can't find something for them to do singles wise, put them in a tag team and let's see what happens. But put them in the tag team the smart way, not the WWE way, the smart way, man.
Let's fucking go, because I feel that like there was some like fire in a jar, right? And you fucking like put the lid on it and I feel like we need to explore this just a tad, right? So, and this is something you have gotten some of the directives now, not knowing where it came from, but you could kind of thinly. Well, I know what a Vince-ism is, and I've never worked for the company. Like, the list of banned words and shit. Which again, as somebody that worked in the network and whatever, like So
I do, man. I mean, I wasn't there for that long in WWE, but I was not going to drink that WWE Kool-Aid. You don't know how many times I could hear it in their voice that they drank the WWE Kool-Aid, and I was not going to be one of them. I stuck true to everything that I believe about professional wrestling, and I love all professional wrestling. So it's not like, it's just that I wasn't going to do the company thing where it's like, I got there, so I'm loyal. No, I love all professional wrestling. You got to deal with that, you know? But yeah, there's still like some frustrations there only because it's like, you miss opportunities. Of course, the people that you hire may not want to speak up and be like, hey, we should put them in the tag team, but this is how we should maneuver it. Like if anyone played a game of chess, you might want to be 5 steps ahead of like, your opponent rather than like 2 steps back. Like that's how I see writing and building in professional wrestling. At least be a couple steps ahead. And then if something in that path doesn't go as planned, at least you could take a different route. So let's say we go from A to B and we get the foundation of like, this is why they're a tag team. And they're a tag team because they have similar styles and they're like, we have that common ground. So why not? Let's build off that. For example, let's just freaking do this off the top of my head with Shayna Baszler and Mercedes Martinez, right? Let's just do this. Mercedes Martinez is such a badass. Shayna Baszler is such a badass. You put them together, they're gonna fucking take over the world. They could both have a similar style. Mercedes Martinez can work on the lucha libre side of professional wrestling. You have Shayna Baszler who can work on the MMA style because that's her bread and butter. Put them together, they're gonna be a fearsome team. And then you don't have them. You can have maybe one match where they fight each other to test out their strengths and weaknesses and see what happens. Let it go to a draw. Next one, we're gonna have a segment where a backstage segment where someone's gonna interview them and they realize we can make better as a team than against each other. So bam, they become a team and they take over the women's division as a tag team and they go along. Now, let's say that if somebody along that path ends up getting injured, you might want to call in a favor from like one of Shayna's friends from like the MMA just to fill in and see how that works. And like you get the ball rolling like that, But see, again, they don't have me there. But just to do it off the top of my head, that's exactly how I would have probably put Shayna Baszler and Mercedes Martinez in a tag team if it was allowed, and for it to make sense.
Yeah, no, I literally, we had the Shield versus the Wyatts for so long, or the Wyatts versus the New Day, or whatever for so long, right? Like I just see, Mercedes and Shayna against Nia and Tamina, right?
Yeah,
just all over the fucking place. I booked the whole territory around it, with Mercedes basically being the ring general of it all.
She could have, right? Like, because you want to learn from a vet. You want to learn the little tricks that it takes to, sell or to like, get the crowd behind you. Like there's little tiny details that veterans like Mercedes Martinez and everyone else has that they could just bounce off of and not just be all over the place. Because even sometimes I'm like, why are we doing this? Why are we doing this?
No, 1,000%. Actually, like just a couple quick booking things. I think I'll do the most recent one first, and you may or may not have been there, but Raw Underground, right? They have Raw Underground. On the same night, they have fucking Retribution, right?
Yeah.
If Retribution is fucking your shit up over here, and you got badasses over here that work for your fucking company, why don't you send the badasses in to get the fucking miscreants out? Like, what the fuck are we doing, right?
Right. Like I didn't even think about that, but yeah, you're totally right. Like go send, the bad guys, the badasses over there and stuff. Yeah.
Yeah. So when Barnett was on this podcast, that was
Yeah.
right around that time, right?
Hmm.
I fucking shitted on it. Like fucking Kevin Smith is poop monster. I
Oh
became.
my God.
All right. And
Yeah.
you can see him squirming because Shayna's there, right?
Yeah.
And
Yeah. Yeah.
I was like, why the fuck don't you have fucking Shayna and fucking Shinsuke Nakamura in your fucking Raw Underground?
Right.
What the fuck ass? What? Like, these are people. You want somebody to beat Brock Lesnar? Nakamura did it. You want somebody to beat Angle? Well, Nakamura did it fucking 10 years before. What the fuck are you doing?
It's WWE. What do you want, man? That's my go-to line for everything. Is WWE.
Yeah.
That's
And
what
then
it
the
is.
second one was Kofi Mania.
Oh,
Not a fan. And I'll
really?
tell you why.
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. So very similar situation to what happened with Big E, right? And I'm not downing the performers
Yeah,
themselves.
yeah.
I'm not downing Kofi. I'm not Ettore, right? The people, right? That's their names, right?
Yeah.
Not downing them. People wise, they're some of the most dynamic speakers. Look at the fucking podcast they do. They're hilarious. Fuck
Yeah.
yes, man. But the fact that so I think they will never admit it, but I feel it's circumstantial, right? Mustafa Ali gets hurt. He was
Yeah.
for that fucking spot, and they like, oh, Kofi's sitting around in catering. Fuck, we'll put him there.
Yeah.
Creative has nothing for you. We'll make you a champ, right? Which is again this similar circumstances, right? You have Punk and Danielson and Ruby Riott and Adam Cole debuting at the AEW pay-per-view prior,
Yeah.
right? And NFL football. So Vince's back is against the wall. And they literally had Big E fucking tweet, I'm cashing in tonight, which
Yeah.
other than fucking Rob Van Dam, they've never done that.
That's true. I don't even remember that. That's so far back.
Yeah. Like, I mean, okay, that did it and won, right? Because
okay.
Sandow, Aaron Stevens,
Yeah.
and Ken Anderson might have done the same thing, but they fucking went bumskis. So
that's true. And Big E wins it.
Yeah, Big E and RVD at one night, or was it? No, it's not one night stand. Whatever the second ECW pay-per-view was.
So like what? December to Dismember?
No, the one in Hammerstein where he beats.
Oh, so it was a one night stand.
Well, I thought the other one was one night stand. The one before it.
Honestly, I don't know anymore.
Yeah,
it's been so long.
Yeah, no, there was the one night stand where it starts off with like Jericho against Lance Storm, which was Lance Storm's retirement match and shit like that.
Right? Yeah,
I
know which one you're talking about. I just don't remember the name that they.
Yeah,
that
was. I think that was one night stand, and I can't remember what the fuck they called the second one, but that had like the Sabu versus Rey Mysterio and whatever the fuck, and but Cena basically coming in with the fucking spinner like this.
Yeah.
That was the second one. So going back to Big E, and Kofi, right? And Kofi Mania, right? So Kofi wins the title. Cool, right? But Kofi's sell on it, for me, was garbage. Like, Xavier Woods and Big E were more hyped about it, right? I know Kofi, brought his children, and the one son has autism, right? And I'm not speaking out of school. He said it on his, interviews or 24, what have you. I have a grandson that's autistic. I've got a couple of my sons that are autistic, so it's something that I know well, right?
Yeah.
But I think because of that, it didn't, when I really felt the enormity of it.
Yeah.
Was that shot of MVP and the late great Shad Gaspard in the bar, and they're fucking crying.
Yeah.
And that's when I got it. Not from Kofi. I got it from his New Day compatriots, but not from Kofi.
Yeah.
So I almost wanted it to be done, especially the fact that he didn't shed any of the New Day stuff, but he moves too much merch to pull him away from that. And
Yeah.
And how long was his run? Yeah, he had a fucking Bruno Sammartino like run, right?
Not really. Right?
Okay.
Yeah.
I think it was a week.
Something like that, right? Because it was stupid how he lost the belt, and
Yeah, because it was what is it? The Fox debut
yeah, I
of the
think it was that.
WWE, right? And also fucking Woods gets injured, so they can't do the New Day with one guy in Big
Yeah.
E. But they're gonna try and do it now because Big E's the champ.
We're gonna see how that works.
I think at this point he's already kept it longer than Kofi. So
Man, all my days are blending together. I don't know. I'm gonna have to come back to you on that. I'm gonna have to send you a memo because I'm like,
yeah, I might be full of shit.
Like he just won it.
Yeah, no, I might be full of shit, but I know I'm pretty close, and I guarantee you, well, definitely, Kofi had a shorter run than fucking Jinder Mahal. Let that sink in.
Man, someone has to fact check that. I'm not gonna do it, but I'm like,
it's true. Damn fucking true, man.
The thing is,
I love your tag teams, kind of booking, because like one of the most underrated tag teams, but also one of the most underrated songs, right? From the Impact TNA era, especially the Dixie era. Dixie Carter's husband, Serge Salinas, right, is the fucking country music producer and everything like that, right? So his greatest contribution to the company was that of the Beer Money theme song. Robert
really?
Roode, yes.
I remember that. I love that theme song.
Yes.
Wow.
If that tells you everything you need to know. If you never saw James Storm and Bobby Roode,
I love that team.
He's from the country. He's from the city, right? What is it? You better run and hide when the back roads and the black top collide. Get your money, Rude.
Yeah,
your alcohol, Storm.
Yeah.
That's it. The greatest fucking, one of the most underrated fucking themes in all of pro wrestling is that.
Definitely.
If you close your eyes, if you were blind, and you got dragged to a fucking Impact show at that time, you know exactly what the fuck is going on.
Definitely.
If you've never watched wrestling in your life, that guy looks like $1 million with a robe.
Yep.
City guy.
Yep.
That guy's drinking a beer.
Yep. It was a match made in heaven, man. It was perfect. I thoroughly enjoyed Beer Money, and then they had the whole catchphrase of Beer Money, and we all did it. It was
for Adam Cole's baby.
Yeah. Which, by the way, it was super loud at the AEW Dynamite at Newark. That thing was like super loud.
Oh, the baby?
Yeah. Super freaking loud.
As well it should be. For somebody, Adam Cole is one of those guys that I have a weird body perceptions and weird. Like Bobby Roode.
Yeah.
Amazing body, but he's got a very long torso.
Yeah, he does.
Right?
Yeah.
As does Kip Sop, Billy Gunn, what have you, right? And also when they hit the ropes and do the leapfrog spot.
Yeah.
They do almost like a fucking what are those people? The hurdlers. The running.
Really?
Yes.
Are you saying they kind of jump like it?
Yes.
I mean, I guess so. I never really thought about it like that. I mean, they jump.
I have weird fucking things. Just like, Matt Hardy.
Yeah.
Boat-legged, right? And his shit is like a wishbone, which is also like fucking Arn Anderson.
Yeah.
Right? So to me, nobody can leg drop like Matt Hardy, but also nobody can have the torque on the fucking spine buster like Arn Anderson because even his fucking son, who's in
Yeah,
AEW now, because his son isn't bow-legged.
yeah, you're right about that. Arn Anderson does still have the best spine buster in the business.
Best spine buster, best gourd buster, and that's a motherfucking finish.
Yeah,
I don't give a shit. I don't give a shit. You don't transition out of the. That's one of my like the presentation of the Usos, right?
yeah,
Like of course, like um before Beer Money, right? America's Most Wanted, right? Chris
mhm,
Harris and fucking James Storm, right? They were
yeah,
recycling. They were doing, the fucking Vegomatic. They were doing the fucking Doomsday Device, whatever, right? And they were just doing their ode. But you knew it was their ode to tag team wrestling, right? And
yeah,
eventually that led up to them making a finisher of their own, which is amazing, right? And that's how I feel you should do it, right? So with that all being said, it's just like there's no fucking thought, man. Like I don't feel it. I don't feel it. And even if there's a concise thought, you're playing to the audience of one, Vince McMahon, right? So it doesn't matter what you do. That's it. That's why Bobby Roode is in the spot that he's at, not the former world champion or
yeah,
the fucking great promo that we know he is. That's
yeah,
why Eric Young, everybody wants to talk shit about like, oh, hiring too many fucking WWE, ex-WWE cast-offs. Well, WCW did it, and this generation, unlike the generation before it, they're not carousing, right? They're not so into the drug culture as the generation before, or two
hmm,
generations before, right?
yeah,
They fucking play video games in their room. AJ Styles and
yeah,
Xavier Woods and the whole New Day, they fucking pack in their fucking carry-on
they do.
their video game systems, right? Uh, so with that all being said, like it's just different because Bobby Roode is a guy, Eric Young is a guy who in a different scenario would be killing it either
Yeah,
in WWE or the territories.
yeah, man. I totally agree with that. There's certain wrestlers that have it all, that have the it factor, that can also wrestle and tell stories inside and outside the ring, and we see this on a consistent basis. But half the time, when it comes to going to WWE, if that's still people's dreams out there, you can still go and try to make it. It's okay. But sometimes the writers don't know how to book them, don't know how to write the stories for them. And me personally, like I would have formed a relationship with all of them and be like, let me know your strengths and your weaknesses. Let me know what your goals are. Like, do you really want to become a champion? Like, do you really want to? Do you want to become a tag team champion? Or like what do you really want to do? Like, I'd rather be there for them because at the end of the day, I have to make sure that their character shines through. It's my job to get them over. It's my job to make sure that the audience understands short-term and long-term storytelling. I shouldn't have to be like, hey, you got to memorize this monologue. What wrestler went to freaking college to be a theater student to remember these lines, or an actor to remember these lines? Like, if I come up with like a one-liner and I'd be like, yo, I think this is good for your character, then he could probably say it or she could probably say it. But if I'm coming to you with like a stack and it's 10 pages, no, no, I'm not having it that way. I've always looked at it as like, I am your guide. I am your coach to be like, all right, you did all this stuff for your character. Now we're at like a standstill. What are we going to do? Oh, wait, you remember we didn't finish that like storyline from like 2 months ago? We could start that up. There's like little loose ends that never get tied. And that's how you keep your character alive. Make sure you have loose ends, good angles, and good storytelling tidbits in order to keep your character alive, because at one point or another, it's going to stagnate. And you don't want to do that because then fans move on to the next thing. Fans don't have the same capacity to sit there and wait for you when wrestling is moving, life is moving, time is moving, and people are going to be on to the next and better thing. It's the same thing with like materialistic stuff. If you're not in the now with the material stuff you get, then you're like behind. So like if you're an up and coming wrestler, I have no problem with talking to you about your character. I've done it with other wrestlers on the indies. I talk to other wrestlers about their character and be like, hey, this is cool. Did you think about this? Or hey, how you're using social media. This is how you should use Twitter. Have you heard about Twitter Spaces? Like, I really do engage with my best buddies on the indies and be like, tell me about your social media game. Half the time they're like, I don't know. I don't know how to use it. Well, man, listen to me and like I'll help you out with everything that you need. So like I don't mind doing that. I do think that sometimes presentation when it comes to like wrestlers, especially when people say that AEW has a lot of WWE past wrestlers. Yes, that's true, but at least you can see some of them are not going to have the spotlight. So we might end up getting like the homegrown talent. And my thing is that I've always want to see the homegrown talent up like front and center. They're getting there. But you guys have to remember too that if you want to get people, you might as well have the WWE guys there to help kind of like rotate, kind of teach, and like be there. You know, this upcoming Wednesday on Dynamite, we have Daniel Bryan versus Kenny Omega. I bet you the following week we're probably not gonna have Daniel Bryan in such a big role. He might have something smaller and he might be to the side, but he's not gonna be in a big role like he is on Wednesday, this coming Wednesday. And they're only doing it because they're here in New York. When you come to New York, you either go big or go home. That's it. You don't give us like shitty little events. When you come to New York, you better give us like a pay-per-view event. But I think like they're going to be a big pay-per-view, then the cool down. And that's why, like, we got to think about this sometimes in wrestlers. You have a big pay-per-view and then a cool down. But yeah, that's everything that I wanted to get out about stuff.
No, I love it. I love it. Which, by the way, Steven Tatum says, from an expert opinion, what was up with the fucking Lana storylines?
I didn't write those.
Okay, good job.
I only said that because I remember on Twitter somebody came after me and they were like, "Oh, you must have wrote those Lana and Bobby Lashley storylines," and I'm like, I wasn't a writer. No, I wanted to be a writer, but I had nothing to do with those. Yeah. But you know, Lana is great at her craft. She's getting it. She's learning. Yeah. And that's like the most that anybody can ask for in the wrestling business. As long as you're willing to learn and put in the hard work, you know, you're going to get something. But, you know, from an expert perspective, if he's calling me an expert, I don't know. Lana, you know, Lana is Lana.
Well, you're just talking about the current one. I'm talking about like, oh, the fucking Tenelle Dashwood was supposed to be. They release her. You know, and she has a flare up of the. No. I mean, I think Steven is talking about what you're talking about, but like,
okay.
For me, like yeah. I'm talking about like, she's Russian and then she's not Russian, and then they had the fucking deal with Tenelle Dashwood where she's supposed to be Emma or Emelina or whatever the fuck, and then they drop her, and then they well, good for her because she's fucking killing it everywhere.
Yeah, she is.
I love Tenelle Dashwood's work. Even the shit that they did in Impact a couple of weeks ago, where they had, because Matt Cardona, Zack Ryder, and Emma were in a relationship. He is now with Chelsea Green, right? So it was Cardona and Green against Tenelle and I guess her dude, or at least on-screen dude.
On-screen dude, yeah.
And I was just like, this is great. And Josh Matthews fucking sold the backstory and everything like that. I was just like, this is good, man. This is like Jake Roberts and fucking Rick Rude, man. Like, this is cool. Which, by the way, there's a lot of fucking champions, right, in the world of wrestling. We got Ring of Honor champions, we got Universal champions, WWE champions, AEW champions, New Japan. And, you know, there's tribal chiefs that we're cool to acknowledge.
Okay.
Sip that fucking Kool-Aid. Good. And good for you. Good for you. If you need that fucking Jonestown Massacre fucking, what's that? The other Heaven's Gate cult fucking purple Kool-Aid.
Yeah.
Good for you. Good for you. All right. But who do you, Marie Shadows, acknowledge as the true world champion in pro wrestling?
That's a loaded question. Why? Oh my God. Who do I acknowledge as the true champion in professional wrestling? This is not cool. um,
You
man.
you want me to? I'll go first. Usually it's ladies first. I'll go first. Whatever the fuck is going on in New Japan.
So, oh, wait, are we going by company? I
Yes.
thought you did generally.
Whatever.
Oh, all right, man. I was like, it's a loaded question because my brain is like, yo, generally, that's like really hard to answer, but we're going by brand. All right. So when it comes to New Japan Pro Wrestling, um, Ospreay says he's the real champion. He had to vacate it. Shingo is the champion because he won it fair and square out of vacancy. Man, I'm only gonna say Shingo. I'm gonna acknowledge Shingo as the IWGP World Heavyweight Champion, only so that way Ospreay can like tease me on Twitter. That's all. That's the only reason why. When we go to AEW, I mean, we got to go with Kenny Omega for that one. Even though Miro is doing a really good job with his TNT stuff, but Kenny Omega is the champion, so he has to, act like the brand and stuff. Let's see. Who we Impact. We have Christian as the champion, but I wouldn't mind seeing. Spoiler alert! If anyone did not see Victory Road already or seen the graphics, but I would like to see Josh Alexander take the belt off of Christian. Josh, deserves it. Like, he's really good at what he does. Not saying anything bad about Christian. Christian is fucking great.
Oh yeah, amazing.
Just to have it back on official Impact soil. I do know that in Ring of Honor, Gresham was TV champion, right?
No, pure, and then he lost it to Josh Woods.
Okay, but who's the champion in Ring of Honor?
I fucking can't tell you. To me, it's Danhausen.
All right, sorry, Ring of Honor.
I popped so hard. He showed up at GCW for that fucking Ron Futches match, and I was like, "More teeth! I acknowledge you."
Oh my God!
My buddy, who's a fucking hard in the paint. Well, not hard in the paint, but he acknowledges Roman Reigns. I was like, acknowledge Danhausen. More teeth, motherfucker. More teeth.
And I guess we're gonna have to skip over Ring of Honor, unfortunately, because I really don't know who the champion is.
Okay.
For WWE, Big E. I will not acknowledge Roman. I'm gonna acknowledge Big E as champion. Did we miss anybody?
Yeah. Do what you want.
No, well, we have Jay White, who's the never openweight champion. I'm always going to acknowledge him. Always going to acknowledge him. Let's see. Who else we have? I already brought up Miro. Miro is doing fantastic as TNT champion. He's doing fantastic. Trying to think of New Japan stuff. We still have the same 3 people for the 6-man never openweight championship title. When are we gonna get some opponents for them, man? It just sucks.
Because it's gonna happen. I might have been talking to Rocky Romero on Friday night.
Yeah,
some shit is gonna happen. Just you wait and see. Just they revived the fucking US, New Japan US title, whatever. So they got plans. I
think they do.
That's the thing that New Japan can do that WWE can't do is break out fucking titles. The US title, the Intercontinental title, and never open weight, right? And the and make them fucking worth something.
Yeah.
WWE cannot. They're like, oh, shiny toy. Oh, I'm gonna put you down and then play with the other shiny toy. That's from what I hear Vince's deal is, which I guess I'll go with mine, right? To New Japan, Okada. Yeah. Okada is my forever until he hangs him up. Okada is my dude. I think Tanahashi is a little bit past his prime, but he's still fucking phenomenal.
Yeah.
Shingo, again, my weird body things. His haircut, his big ass head, and his flabby body with the fucking type.
Yeah.
I can't do it. I can't. I can't. Like, give me evil again. Please give me evil. You know, like, yeah. So there's that, right? So New Japan there. In WWE, Shinsuke Nakamura. He's everything, right? I like what you said about Josh Alexander. He's been on the show, friend of the show. Yeah, and again, that's why you put the title on fucking Christian. It's a big name for Josh Alexander to fucking beat and bring it to home soil. And I think this is why Christian is back. I think this is why Edge is back, you know? And so I love it. You know, I fucking love it. The two Canadians, Josh, I mean, he's been over the moon about, like, him and the Bollywood boys, right? They are proud Canadians. They're proud of their Canadian wrestlers, right? You know, Bret Hart, Owen Hart, Christian, Jericho, like they love it. So for Josh to have the win over that guy, it's phenomenal. And you know, Christian in many circles is the workhorse of the last two generations, you know. So like, it's going to be a phenomenal match. I'll probably order it on Fight for sure. It's good. Ring of Honor again. Gresham and Danhausen.
Yeah.
I can't even remember the actual. I think it's Bandito.
I think he's there. I don't know what he's doing. But he's there.
No, he just won it, I believe. I think.
Oh, he should be the champion.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry, Ring of Honor.
No worries.
I used to love you guys. I have nothing. I don't know what's happening anymore.
I said Danhausen and Gresham. So
yeah, but like I couldn't remember the champion. That's bad. To me, it's bad. I'm like old school.
Is it bad for you, or is it bad for the company that hasn't promoted their champion like a champion?
All right, fine. It's bad for the company, but it's also bad for me because I review wrestling and talk about wrestling. So you know.
Okay. I'll give you that. Obviously, you've got Trevor Murdoch in NWA, right?
Yes, I totally forgot about that.
Yeah, that's the right choice.
Yeah,
especially for St. Louis, trained by Harley Race. You actually had two guys in Aldis and Trevor Murdoch that were trained by Harley Race, but you know, fucking Murdoch still lives there. He lives in Eldon and helps out with the fucking Worldly Wrestling that's Harley's, along with Harley's son Leland, who's become a pretty good hand of his own damn self. So yeah, that's that. Nakamura wins everything, so that covers the WWE. But also, the only fucking consistent WWE shit that I'm watching is NXT UK. So Ilya Dragunov, right? Walter. There's so many. Like, that whole fucking roster is like fucking out of this world. You can set that roster off and put them in any fucking territory, any locker room, and they blow the balls off of everyone.
Yeah.
So I love NXT UK. I've got friends at Progress and ICW, you know, Fight Club. So the fucking Owens, like I'm sorry, Casey Owens and Molly Spartan, the She-Wolves over in ICW, fucking rock. Like, they're the champions as far as I'm concerned. So that's what I'm saying.
Cool. Yeah. I mean, I can't watch all wrestling, but like that women tag team, they sound like, you know, they're very amazing to watch.
Oh, and total disclosure, and I don't think it's I'm talking out of school, but Molly Spartan, her husband is Wolfgang from Gallus in NXT UK, and I think they're NXT UK champs and what have you. Yeah, so they're, you know, wrestling through and through, like almost the NXT UK's version of Gargano and Candice LeRae, right? But I mean, they've never been on TV together, at least WWE TV together, which I think is a missed opportunity. But fuck it, I'm not a booker, which I gotta, like, one. I can't let you go without asking you this.
Okay.
Wait, first and foremost,
Yes.
are you planning to go back there?
I'm sorry?
Are you planning to go back to the WWE?
No, I am
Okay.
not.
All right.
Um, so let's see what happens with this question.
Okay. So, what is the most asinine thing that you saw come across or you were asked to do? Now, you don't have to name names,
Yeah,
whatever,
yeah, I
but
get it.
you were just like, this 7-year-old you goes, what the fuck?
I mean, it's a toss up between the other people they hired because they didn't know the product. To
Or the comedian girl?
what?
The comedian girl that
No,
Bobby
no,
asked
no.
me?
See, I never. I mean, yeah. Okay. Yeah. Um, yeah. So people like they hire people that didn't know the product, to work on the WWE Network that needed a lot of work, and you had to know your search engine like terms because it was our job to make sure that when you're searching for a particular thing on the WWE Network, it comes up. But sometimes it was very tricky because if like let's say if you put like Kurt Angle 2002, not everything in 2002 will come up, but if you do like I don't know Kurt Angle 2003, that 2002 show you wanted might be over there. So like it was
Mhm.
our job to like try to fix all that and try to make it as like smooth as possible. We were frustrated, but like I know you guys are frustrated. It was okay. I didn't take offense to any frustrations I saw on Twitter. So there was people there that didn't know the product. There was this one dude who kept asking the supervisor, oh, what's this move? Oh, this person, like, he was watching something where, like, I guess it was involved with, like, ladders and stuff. So, he was just asking a bunch of stupid questions that he should have known the answer to. I'm just like, bro, like, why are you here? Why are you here, man? There's other times where, like, no one had priorities. Everything was all over the place. There was no, like, organization. Like, I told this story before about, if it was okay to put in, like, Chris Benoit and all that. But, like, week 1, it was fine. Week 2, no. Week 3, yes. Week 4, no. And then at the end, it was like, fuck it. It was like, whatever. The higher ups took care of like all the Chris Benoit stuff after about like a couple of weeks of us being like yes, no, yes, no, yes, no. There's times where like the Bullet Club story where like I defended the Bullet Club and they didn't like it. There was a time that I genuinely forgot to watch the main event of NXT. This was a takeover. The co-main event was I think it had to be Aleister Black versus maybe Adam Cole for that North American
North
Championship
American, yeah.
title in a ladder match. I watched it as a fan. Rule number 1: don't rewatch this stuff as a fan. I watched it as a fan. I was like, oh, this is great. And I totally forgot the main event that was Gargano and Ciampa. And the supervisor was like, why did you forget the main event? And I was like, there was a main event? And he was like, yeah, it's Gargano versus Ciampa. And I was like, oh my God, I'm so sorry. So like he gave it back to me and like I did it and I sent it back and I was like, I'm so sorry, I didn't mean to. Only to have a talk with Adam number 2. And I was like, look, man, I'm kicking myself in the ass way more than you are because I failed at doing a job that you guys hired me for and I should have known better. And he was like, okay, you can go back. I was like, dude, I'm really fucking kicking myself in the ass for this. Like, I should not have missed it. There's like, other stuff. I made friends with like HR because again, I had to teach one of the HR ladies about women's wrestling about for an event. So that was fun. I got super excited too. I was like, yeah, I can tell you all this stuff. But we're cool. I made friends with the people of the production truck. So like I'll go eat my lunch and then after that I'll go hang out with them and we talk wrestling. That's how you guys see like the thumbnail of me taking a picture where it says the WWE Network. I just hang out with them. I hung out with a lot of people during this one time we had happy hour. that Vince McMahon was paying for everything. So he was paying for the drinks, the food trucks, and everything. So like we all like racked up his bill. I took extra food home, so he's paying for it. I gave around my business card to like everybody there that I was talking to, and I was like, yeah, I do this, I do that, blah blah blah. I make connections. It was like really the best 3 months of my life. They kind of let me go on bullshit, and I was just like, why? But okay, I got over it within like a day and a half. Went to ring training, and then like 2019 started my podcast, and that's like how everything fucking happened.
I think it's brilliant. I think it's fucking brilliant. Not many people could say that they fucking had food and drinks on Vince McMahon's dime. And as somebody that had food and drinks on Oscar De La Hoya's dime,
Oh my god,
yes.
tequila everywhere.
No, it was just fucking because it was for the open workouts for the Triple G2. So there was no alcoholic beverages, but probably the best water I've ever tasted. They had steak. This shit was like fucking main course shit, like incredible. So the fact that you had Vince, you kind of need to fucking complete this, right? Like you need to go float over to the UFC and have Dana White cover a bill. You need to float over to fucking Golden Boy and have what's his name, De La Hoya cover the bill. You have to complete. Yeah. The thing, right? 3 different sports. Like, what was it? Ultimo Dragon is like, I want to compete Tokyo Dome, MSG, Arena Mexico, right? So that is your holy, unholy trilogy of food and drink.
Man, I'm happy whenever anyone covers my food and drink. I don't have to pay for it, but that food truck there, it was like a fusion, like Korean and like something else.
Is and that like,
yeah. So basically, yeah. So basically, like the food truck that they had there was like this fusion of like, I forget, it's Korean and like something else. And like the food they made, I was like, oh, this is amazing. So like I just decided to take extra food home, and I'm like, yeah, I gotta take extra food home. And the crazy thing is that so I live here in New York City in the Bronx. So I traveled every single day, Monday through Friday, from I taking the Metro North from New York City to Connecticut to come back and forth and whatnot. There is that one time where like Connecticut got hit with a storm. That shit was horrible. That shit was horrible because I don't drive. So I had to hitch a ride with some other people from the building to be like, hey, just drop me off at the station and I gotta go home. That's it. But there was like floods everywhere and shit, and I was like, oh my god, how am I gonna get home? Like what is this?
Fuck. And not to dredge up like old wounds, but did you make it to the future endeavors list, or does it work differently for staff?
I wish I did made it to the future endeavors list, man. I got they basically let me go during my lunch hour, and they played good cop bad cop with me, and I was like, what did I do wrong? Like, tell me exactly what I did wrong. And I always say that like it's budget cuts, to like just be like, oh, it's budget cuts, but to say that I messed up on 3 days worth of logs when I'm like, the people you hired here don't know anything about your product. Like, that didn't make any sense to me. And then to say that the supervisors have more work to do because of that. And I was like, but you gave them shit the whole entire time. Like they really have a lot on their plate. Like, I'm guessing the department is no longer there because we got Peacock now. I'm just guessing. I don't know. I don't know how that's working, but like, you really had to think about it before Peacock. Like, the supervisors and everybody that was working on the network had like so much on their plate already that it's like, yo, you could just tell me to redo it, or just tell me this is stronger or whatever. Like, no one came up to me to be like, hey, you messed up on this. This is where you could fix it. Everybody was just like, okay, cool. You sent it in. Awesome. The supervisors will take care of it. But like, I got the weird shit, like where the second HR woman who was upset with me, and I was like, I don't know why you're upset with me. I don't even know you. I never talked to you. Like, why are you really upset with me? And then the other guy doing crocodile tears, and I'm like, what the fuck is going on? Like that was my experience on my way out, and I was like, all right, cool. And then like I said, I got over it within a day and a half and went to ring training and then started my podcast in 2019.
See, fucking cool story, bro. For fucking 3 months, I love it. And that happened to me at a corporate job that I worked, the last corporate job that I ever worked, and I was also going to jujitsu, whatever. Right? I'd just gotten back from jujitsu, and I got called into the fucking conference room. Right? I was like, fuck. At least I did jujitsu, and guess what? The next day when they gave me my fucking severance, I went to fucking jiu-jitsu with my old coworker, and it's like, how the fuck are you here? I was like, I ain't got shit else to do. Fuck. So there's that. Which I almost shudder to think, right? Because Shane McMahon ran WWE.com, and for everybody's who worked under him, guess is he's the best McMahon out of all four of them, right? All four prominent ones. So I almost think like, what if he had stayed and not went to China, right? What if he had stayed and fucking took control of the network? Would we have better results?
It would have been way better results. I think that Shane McMahon looks like the type where he can listen to you and be like, all right, this works, but then he'll still come at you with like a business perspective to be like, because essentially people think that WWE is a wrestling company. It used to, and then it changed to a business company. So sometimes when they make their cuts, when they make their decisions, it's all business, because at the end of the day, they're trying to make money, and you need money to survive, unfortunately, in the world. It's no longer about let's do it for fun. Let's do it for the love of it. But I think that, if Shane were to take over that department I was in, it would have been the fucking best time ever. Just because like he really does seem like a cool guy. And then you can learn so much from him to be like, all right, cool. How can we implement this? Can we use this search term rather than the other search term? Or can we do this or that? Like, I really think I think it would have been helpful, because it really did feel like you go in, you sit at your computer desk with the cubicles and shit, and you're there for 8 hours, and you're watching wrestling. You're rewatching certain things you watched in the past. And like another cool story. So I happened to get the SmackDown where Matt Jackson was on, right?
What the fuck of the Young Bucks?
Yes. So I happened to get that during my time there. And I was like, oh shit, that's Matt Jackson. So I paused it and I went up to the supervisor and I was like, how do I put this into the program? Matt Jackson of the Young Bucks just showed up. He's facing Big Show in a tables match. I don't remember how the interaction went down. At first, it was like he had to get confirmation to be like, can we put him in there and whatnot. So after a little while, he was like, yeah, you can put him in there. So I literally put Matt Jackson in the search terms, and I was just like, oh my god, I was freaking out. I was marking out. I was like, oh my god, like I didn't know this prior. So just seeing it there, I was like, oh shit. And yet then the Young Bucks are banned, right?
Ooh, wait. Were you there for the whole Hot Topic thing?
What do you mean?
Okay, so the story that I've heard, right, is Hot Topic goes, oh, there's wrestling shirts of Bullet Club and the Young Bucks.
That one. I only read that in their book, but we never talked about it over there. But we talked about other stuff. The Young Bucks book.
You read it?
Yeah.
They're from Cucamonga. That's where Ice Cube went to go hide out after next Friday.
I mean, I know, but I read it and I wrote a review, and Matt liked it.
You're a better wrestling fan than I am. Oh god. I think I was friends with them. I was friends with them on Facebook and also Papa Buck.
Yeah.
Until either I cursed too much on a podcast or AEW started. I can't remember which, but they dropped me, whatever. But Karrion Kross is still there. Rob Stone is still there. So okay, cool story, bro. I see how you roll. Yeah, oh, everybody's like, oh my god, like Young Bucks versus the Lucha Brothers. I was just like, give me FTR against anyone else. Give me FTR versus 2.0. Oh, that beats the brakes out of whatever the fuck those two teams do. I like generic lucha guys. Like I think Penta. I might. Oh, sorry, folks, but Penta peaked in Lucha Underground midway through season one, and this is how they should have ended the season with Vampira. He was never more interesting than to me than that. Not the Impact run, not the anywhere else, right? And Ray Phoenix. Who's Ray Phoenix? Don't know. Generic lucha guy. Can't tell him from Serpentico.
Yeah, I guess so. I
Yeah.
mean, I don't really pay attention that much, but yeah.
Yeah. So that's that. And then you got the Young Bucks. And this new incarnation of the Young Bucks is the most atrocious
Yeah.
deal. One looking like the fucking he literally looks like Austin Aries. He looks like fucking Austin Aries. But you won't hire Austin Aries because you guys got heat. So it's so fucking weird. It's just so fucking weird. But there's wrestlers in every company that I love and I don't like. Right? There's people in NXT UK that I like and I don't like. Like Ginny, I don't know why Ginny isn't a bigger fucking star. Like she's probably, on that Becky Lynch fucking level. But like, I don't know what the fuck, man. So that's that's it. But yeah, the Young Bucks, they're a lot better tag teams over the course of history. I mean, you got fucking Tully and Arn backstage.
Yeah.
But the Young Bucks are in vice president fucking roles.
It's their company.
Exactly.
With
So
Tony Khan.
And again, as inclusive as they try to be, AEW heels, which is what, $50 a month, right?
It's $50 a year, but
Okay.
I think that's not. I'm
Yeah,
not part of that.
No, 100%. But if you look at former President Trump's, donation list, you'll see all the top execs of AEW there. I love how everybody tries to be as inclusive. It happens in the WWE. It happens. Be a Star. Susan G. Komen, Wounded Warrior. UFC does it too. Bellator does it. All of these virtue signaling, whatever. Well, I saw Combate Americas, right? With or not Combate Global, right? They have the transgender fighter, right? On Friday, the very next night. Everybody's there. The whole front office is there, hobnobbing it with former President Trump and Tito Ortiz, which you don't have to look far to see birds of a feather flock together. So yeah.
It's just really weird to think about it. I tend to keep whatever like personal stuff that these guys do away from the business because I like to keep it somewhat like kayfabe. And then I just think differently than everybody else. I don't follow the crowd or become a sheep. I rather get information that makes like sense to me and like connect all the dots where like it's logical. And if it's not logical, I'm asking you 100 questions to make sure that it's logical and try to rule out like any loopholes where like it doesn't make sense or like someone could get through and like that wouldn't be right. But like whatever they do on their personal time is their personal time. I'm here to enjoy a very good segment of getting lost in reality for like the 1 to 2 hours. So they can do what they want. It's just that sometimes I feel like you don't have to exclaim it to the world that you are inclusive. You can do it slowly by like just incorporating things. If you want to take social media pictures of like the food drives or like helping out kids, that's totally fine. But you don't have to scream it at the top of your lungs every chance that you get, and then sort of like forget about it as time goes on, only to revamp it when someone is trying to question you about it. Sometimes like I really don't want people to like get on me for this because I just like think differently. But either way, like WWE is a prime example of they never really said it. They said it that like they're like inclusive and everything. But now you're seeing all the progress that like they've been making and like who we have as champion and who's going for storylines and stuff like that. Like there's progress there, and we're not saying that like everyone should be on the ball for it. You know, everyone should go behind it, but make the effort to show that progress. Don't just do it like one or two nights. Like just do it every day. Just do what you got to do, and like as time goes on, the progress will be there. And then when we look back, we're like, oh, that storyline started this little story here, and this is why we came to maybe having like Will Hobbs like TNT champion one day, or like Scorpio Sky becoming AEW champion. You have Scorpio Sky; he's your day one, and he has yet to be champion. Like
Also,
that's
boat-legged.
huh?
Also, much like Matt Hardy and Arn Anderson, boat-legged.
Man, that just bothers me that like, you know, for a friend of yours,
Yes,
like
oh no,
Scorpio Sky, you know, like
he's
breaks
great.
up, yeah, breaks up with the tag team, and then like don't get the singles run. What the hell? You could have put the TNT championship title on him and then propel him to the AEW world.
Yeah,
Like it bothers me.
yeah, no, 100%. I gotta, but I also like to that inclusive and whatever. Like apparently, I woke up to like what culture, and they're like, oh, Undertaker's getting canceled by Rene Dupree, and I'm like, okay, cool story, thin blue line, whatever. But let's go to the jugular. Let's get JBL and HBK. Let's do that. Like let's stop the fucking bullshit. Right? Again, you don't have to look very far. Shane Helms, Blue Meanie, Rob Van Dam. That's all I'm saying. That's all I'm saying. You just three people, and then you can. That needs to be a fucking dark side of the ring right there.
Mm.
Just
I do think that now that we're in a different time, the really stupid shit that happened back in the day could be used as a lesson of like, why the hell did we try to do some really stupid pranks that really went out of hand? Like, I don't get it why, like, I get we need to have fun, but there's a certain line of like, having fun and then being freaking stupid, and whatnot. I do think that like, there should be like apologies handed out, like no more really like free passes. But then again, every situation is different.
Yeah.
And if you don't have enough like evidence or footage to be like, this is exactly how it went down, we're gonna go right back into he said, she said stuff, and it's like, But I think that we could all use this as a learning curve of like, take your video games with you to the locker room, take your card games, do your TikToks, because it's not really hurting anybody. It's not like before where like they were on prescription pills and drinking to get like away from their demons. Like now we have people that talk about their stuff openly and being like, yeah, man, you should really stop drinking. You should really stop doing this. Like get into this to get your mind off of it. Like we should be more positive and more inclusive to like everybody, even though people take advantage of shit. But the good part is that we'll come out better at the end of it all.
No, 100%. Well, I will say, guess what?
What?
Guess who comes away unscathed?
Who?
In terms of ribs? Two of the greatest, not so much drugs for one, but two of the greatest in-ring performers of all time. They're definitely in my top 10, for sure.
Are we talking about like Triple H and Ric Flair?
Fuck no!
Okay, I don't know.
Greatest ribbers of all time?
Oh, you mean like it's like Mr. Perfect and Owen?
Yes.
Okay, Owen and Mr. Perfect.
Yeah, Owen and Mr. Perfect. You guys are good.
Yeah.
Yes. My youngest son, his name is Owen. AEW, well, Brett didn't go with Woods, right? So, AEW just announced, Sean Ross Sapp, AEW has partnered with the Owen Hart Foundation, headed up by Dr. Martha Hart, Owen Hart's widow, and Oj and Athena Hart, who lost their dad so tragically that fateful night in Kemper Arena. Hell, again, total disclosure, Owen Hart and I, we share the same birthday, May 7th. Okay? He died. He didn't even make it to the end of the month, is what I'm saying. And talk about dream matches. Kurt Angle is coming in. You got D'Lo Brown.
Oh,
Shit with Austin. Shit with The Rock. Like, you fucked yourselves over. Then I don't think I could. Not to say I won't forgive, but I'll never, ever forget.
yeah, yeah. I mean, it's great that AEW partnered with the Heart Foundation for that. I was not expecting that news to hit my inbox, but yeah, that's like super cool.
Okay, this is you need to bring Arquette in, right? Because like I feel like that's the way because all of his WCW money went to, Pillman's family, Melanie Pillman, which she didn't do great with it. You just ask Brian Jr.
Yeah,
He did great with it, and then Owen Hart's family, right? So I feel like with them partnering up with the Owen Hart Foundation and Brian Pillman Jr. is all elite. Like
yeah,
you kind of need to bring Arquette in at this point.
yeah. You kind of do. We'll see what AEW does, man. AEW has a lot of things up their sleeve, and I know we give them a lot of shit, but like we just want things to make sense. That's
Yeah,
all. That's
yeah,
all.
and I think you can attest to it, as can I. We've got friends, right? We want everyone to do well. We've got friends in all of these places, and that's a weird, fortunate, like privilege part of what we do. Got friends in the NWA, got friends in the WWE,
Yep.
got friends in the UFC, Bellator, front and back office, fighting for, performers for, whatever. We don't want to see our friends fall by the wayside,
Definitely.
and fall into the vices that plagued a generation before them,
Yeah.
right? The depression. The Chris Canyon episode of Dark Side is coming out.
That's coming up. Yeah.
That's So with that all being said, just be kind. Just be kind to each other. Like what you like. I hate this. Oh, AEW versus WWE versus no fuck. Why? Just like them all. Oh,
Pretty much.
military, Marines, and you fight for the country. Cool. Let's move on. Like, oh, my religion. Blah blah. Fuck.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I totally agree with that. So it's I'm not in those circles to like debate about AEW versus WWE because at the end of the day, you're there to support the wrestlers, and this is what I learned this weekend because this weekend I had like a horrible experience at an indie show, but I'm not gonna get into it. But it made me really realize that you're there to support the wrestlers that you love. So no matter where they go, you're gonna go with them. The same thing what I do behind the scenes with my boy JD Alpha and like his other teammates. I always push them to be the best wrestlers that they can be, and I always record their matches and like help them out with like their skits and everything. Like I am their go-to girl for everything. Even for like social media stuff, if like he doesn't remember, I'm always there. Like, oh, you can find them here. I'm that person. So wherever he goes, I will follow and push him as well as doing my own stuff. And whoever pops up to be like, yo, you gotta check this guy out, you gotta check that guy out. So make sure to like support the wrestlers. You don't necessarily have to support the company. It's cool to support the company, but essentially you're supporting the wrestlers to get them to where they need to go.
No, 100%. I mean, there might be a community that illegally streams or downloads UFC events, right? Because the narrative of like, oh, you illegally download the stream, you take away from the fighters. Nope, that's not true because they get paid the same, right?
Yeah.
So with that being said, okay, legally stream, okay, buy $50 worth of merch from their site.
Yeah.
At the very least, buy the fucking UFC video game, make them champion. Spend a night making them fucking champion if they're not already. Like that's
and use it as content. Use it as content. Go out and buy yourself an Elgato and start, recording your streams, and bam, there you go, content.
Absolutely. So, I mean, I know we're supposed to do an hour went long, so
Yeah.
but you're great. You're great for going this long. But obviously, there have been so many people that have attributed to your success, both personally and professionally, right? So take as long as you need. Let's get some shout outs out of the way.
I mean, I'm always gonna shout out my boy JD Alpha. You guys can go follow him on Twitter at the number two GUD, and then JD Alpha. I mean, I have my personal contacts that I will shout out, and they know who they are. There's like way too many podcasters that I love sharing podcasting with, and I'm so thankful for you to have me on yours. Um,
You, you.
I know. Okay, but I'm humble either way. Like I'm humble no matter what. But everyone that has ever been on this journey with me, it's been like a really awesome ride. And there's only more to like for the future and stuff. So how you can support me because I'm not really good with like I gave my shout outs to everybody. I love everybody. They know it. To support me, I am Marie Shadows. I am the host and the creator of the Square Circle podcast and the host and the creator of the Ring Crew vlog. The Ring Crew vlog is currently on hiatus. It is basically a vlog that tracks my wrestling journey with my boys, JD Alpha, Leland Parker, and Cuzzo. And it just sees how everything is behind the scenes. And for me to eventually get over myself and interview people and be on commentary. The Square Circle podcast covers all professional wrestling, AEW, New Japan Pro Wrestling, Impact Wrestling, maybe some Ring of Honor, and I have my WWE days on there as well. You can go check that out at anchor.fm/Square Circle Podcast. For anything related to YouTube, youtube.com/Square Circle Podcast for commentary videos, wrestling videos, and my podcast as well in video form. If you want to take it a step further, I am making wrestling memories. We're making wrestling memories together. So head over to patreon.com/Marie Shadows for all that good stuff there. And if you want to take it a step further, I'm not hard to find. I love Twitter. Find me at Marie_Shadows on Twitter.
Shit, I usually ask, where's your social media? But just the epic pro, the ring general that you are, you fucking took it away. So, Marie, thank you so much. Thank you for your friendship, your kinship, and everything like that. Like your open and honesty, and fucking taking one for the team and working for the WWE, that fucking evil empire. Holy shit, fuck. What is it? Hallelujah. Holy shit, in the words of the immortal Clark W. Griswold. So, fucking thank you for biting the bullet for us. Because you got some fucking cool-ass stories. So, fuck
man.
Now, if you're in that, liking and subscribing mood, obviously, follow and like and subscribe and Patreon Marie, right? But if you're in that mood, I would warmly encourage you to go ahead and like, share, and subscribe to the According to Woods podcast on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitch. You can also find me on pretty much every social media under According to Woods, where I share podcasts and fucking dumb shit memes. I will convince you I'm probably the dumbest person you've ever met. 100%. 1,000%. But, Marie, you're subscribed to the podcast, aren't you?
I am.
Hell yes. So be like the badass Marie is, and be like me, because, I mean, supporting yourself isn't nepotism. It's all positivity all the time, as the ass selfie Instagrammers say, right? But go ahead and subscribe to the podcast. I'd appreciate it. Marie says you should too. But if you don't believe me and you don't believe Marie, well, here's pro wrestler Zeta Zhang to convince you.
Hey, this is Zeta Zhang.